Yeah, so this session is going to be about human-AI interaction or the AI interface. And my name is Pat. I'm a PhD candidate at the Media Lab. And right here is my mentor, Professor Patty Mars, who is also the director of the MIT Media Lab Fluid Interfaces Group. So it's great to have this conversation with you, Patty. So the first question I have for you is, you start off as an AI researcher at MIT, and then you transition to the Media Lab to work on more of the human side of this kind of question. Can you maybe talk a little bit about your journey from the AI lab to the Media Lab?
I did my PhD in AI over 30 years ago and in Belgium and moved to the AI lab, what was then called the AI lab at MIT, now called CSAIL, because that was, of course, the mecca for AI research at that time and still.
Right.
But after a couple of years at the AI lab at MIT, I decided that I did not necessarily want to develop intelligent machines that one day could replace us, surpass us, that I was much more interested in using these same technologies to augment people, to make people more intelligent, perform at a better level, and so on. So that's actually why I moved from the AI lab to the Media Lab.
Right.
And I think that that point of view is more relevant than ever today. AI developers today, mostly these days in companies like OpenAI and so on, are especially focused on and obsessed with this goal of AGI. If only we achieve AGI, then the world will be a better place. I think that that is a very naive goal. And it's really unfortunate that all the money is going towards that goal right now. We should think about why we, or what goal we set for ourselves with AI. And I think surpassing people in intelligence and replacing people is one of the worst goals we could set for ourselves.
Yeah, right.
So I really have been advocating for decades that we should instead focus on how do we use these technologies to benefit humanity, benefit people.
Yeah, so in your work, you focus on human and augmenting human sort of intelligence. What are some of the sort of interface or what are some of the projects that you have done in this area that address this? Yeah.
So I'm very excited about the potential for these technologies to help people with issues such as health, learning, even memory for the elderly and so on. So in our group, we mostly take real problems out there and try to think about how these AI technologies can be used to basically benefit people. For example, democratizing learning, making learning more effective by using AI tutors, or helping people with mental health or physical health by using AI systems that get to know them, get to know their particular issues, etc., and that can assist them.
Right.
Yeah.
I think at the time when you came up with this idea of intelligent system and human-computer interaction, there was a huge debate in the community between you and Ben Schneiderman. I think you advocate for the idea of software acting as agent that augment human being, where Ben was talking about direct manipulation. Maybe how does that work and how is that relevant today?
So yeah, it's a little funny. Back in '97, I published a Scientific American article on software agents. And so over 30 years ago, or no, not quite, but almost. And I argued that people were getting more and more information all the time and that they would need software agents that knew about their goals, about their life, about their information, that could help them with keeping track of all this data, making data available in real, basically proactively for people. I still think that the interfaces that we use today to access the information world, these smartphones, laptops, and so on, the whole style of interaction is actually not at all perfect or ideal, because it requires that we take away our attention from the situation that we're in, the people we're talking to then look up information that may be relevant or and things like that. So I've always argued that software agents can take a large role in really allowing us to be more present in the moment,
Right.
because an agent can actually bring up proactively information that is relevant to whatever is happening right now. Like my phone should know that I'm here on stage in an interview and that it shouldn't be buzzing right now.
Right.
Or maybe if there is something particularly relevant to what I'm saying, maybe I'll get just one word or something hint from an agent saying, don't forget to mention X or something. So I think there's an opportunity to really rethink our relationship with devices by using AI systems.
And in a way, this type of interaction is very proactive in the sense that, you know, the AI not just like wait for you to go and use it, it actually personalized and actually know who you are and kind of understand the context and things like that.
Yeah, so we've always been working on agents that are more aware of the user's context, what the user is doing. Are they in a supermarket shopping for whatever, toilet paper? Are they talking to someone? What are they talking about, etc.? Are they reading an email message? And the agent can proactively make relevant information available to the person for whatever the problem is, the issue is that they're dealing with right now.
So fast forward, after that vision, now we have this sort of, you know, generative AI agent or a system like that are being deployed and developed. People might argue that if you just make the AI more powerful or smarter, this question will solve itself. But in your case, you still think that we need to focus on the interaction and the interface. Why is that the case?
Yeah, so I think AI is not just an engineering problem, even though engineers think so. AI is as much a human design problem. And human design is not something that you solve after the fact when you have AGI. Oh, let's now decide on colors and fonts and bells and whistles. No, human design is a big problem. We need people to have the right level of trust in the AI systems that help them. We need people to understand how these AI systems function and why they come up with a particular decision. There are so many human design issues that are incredibly important, and we are finding that with studies that we're doing. For example, people overly rely on AI, especially generative AI, large language chat-like interfaces. They are all very persuasive, very believable. They always come up with a great answer, very believable answer, even though it may be totally wrong and hallucinating. And we find in studies that we do that people start relying on these AI systems too much, and they stop thinking for themselves. They stop engaging with the problem at hand because they say oh, my AI seems to know the answer. Sure, let's accept that. So we have several studies that we've done that show that people's performance can actually degrade by using AI because they overly trust the AI. So there's a lot of important issues that we have to solve if we want AI deployments ultimately to be successful. And I would argue that most AI deployments will be in the context of people working with the AI, whether they'll only have some minimal supervision and auditing of whatever the AI does versus true collaboration or even mostly the human dealing with the problem. So there will be primarily AI applications for people and AI to collaborate together, not AI operating autonomously, which is why it is so critical that we research how people work with AI and how we can best design these interfaces so that we ultimately benefit from the intelligence of the AI and the intelligence of people.
Well, one thing that I think is kind of interesting and a little unintuitive is that people often think that if you have human intelligence and artificial intelligence, put them together, you will have a combined super intelligence. But from study that you mentioned that we have done in our group, we show that people tend to just rely on one intelligence and not using the other one. What are some sort of techniques or some of the interaction method that can be used to actually augment human rather than making human complicit to this system?
We for example did a very simple study where we had people judge newspaper headlines and decide whether they were fake news or true news. And we gave some people a correct AI that gives them correct advice and explanations, like, yes, this headline is right or true, and because of these reasons. We gave another group basically a malicious AI that tried to convince you of the opposite of the truth for all the headlines. And then a third group was not using an AI at all. And we learned that the group that got the malicious AI, their performance, their accuracy was almost half of their accuracy of working by themselves without any AI assistance. So they overly relied on AI. I would speculate also that, or hypothesize that the more people work with AI, the more de-skilling could happen, because people start relying on AI so much that they forget how to deal with the issue themselves in the first place. So we have been arguing for interfaces that engage the user in critically thinking together with the AI in a conversation, thinking about a problem before the AI actually says, this is true, or this is false, or this is cancer, or this is not cancer. You have to engage the user in thinking about the problem at hand, the decision at hand, before the AI actually gives its classification or its recommendation.
So in a way, sort of, use the intelligence of the AI to engage people intelligently and then see how they kind of come up with answer together. So not just the AI just give out the answer right away. I think this had implication in education and learning as well, right? What do you think about that?
Well, we all know that the best method of teaching people some skill or teaching young people a skill is not to tell them what the answers are and what all the stuff is that they should try to put into their brains. The best question is to engage. The best method is to engage them in asking questions, engage them in the material. Don't just give them all the answers. Get them excited, get them thinking, get them to discover the answers themselves with the guidance of a good teacher. So I think AI systems should play that role. They should be more assisting us in our decision-making process without taking over and basically with the result that then we tune out, basically.
And in order to do this, it seems like you need to draw a lot of knowledge from other field, right? Not just engineering of the AI itself, but like human cognitive science or psychology or other area. How does that play into the work?
I think AI is not just an engineering problem. It's a psychology problem. It's a design problem. It's a sociology problem. It's a political problem, a legal problem. And unfortunately, all of these other domains are sort of afterthoughts and the questions they think about. And all the attention is going to engineering right now. But I believe that these other areas of expertise should be involved right now in the development of AI.
Well, one wisdom that you have shared with me earlier was that, in the earlier day when AI was called intelligence or expert system, right? You say that it already surpassed human in many capability, but it wasn't adopted because of the social or the human issue. Do you think it's gonna continue to happen?
Yeah, so back in the late 80s and 90s, there was another wave of interest in artificial intelligence called expert systems, and there was a lot of money being thrown at AI, not as much as today, but also significant amounts. And once again, AI was dealt with as an engineering problem at that time. So people would develop AI expert systems that would come up with a medical diagnosis, for example. And these systems performed pretty well at that time. Not as good maybe as our systems today, but they were very useful. But then engineers would drop this expert system in the hands of the target user, and that target user, say a doctor making a diagnosis, would say, well, I can't trust this system. I wasn't involved in designing this system. I studied for 10 or 13 years to become an expert in my field. Why should I even ask this computer for a second opinion about decisions? So a big reason why expert systems were not a success was actually these human factors.
Right.
And that were sort of, again, an afterthought. And then that was, of course, followed by an AI winter. So I would argue, meaning an AI winter, less money for AI, less interest in AI. I would argue that we risk another AI winter coming up because, again, we only have engineers and money people interested in AI and deciding what direction to take in, as opposed to really everybody out there, not just all disciplines, but target users. Target users should be involved. We should all have a discussion together really about what AI future we want.
Right.
And unfortunately, that discussion is not at all happening right now. It is just assumed that we all want AGI, and that's it. And then we'll solve all the problems later after we've deployed AGI to billions of people.
Right. So I have two more questions for you. So one is, if people here are interested in sort of taking that more human-centered approach to AI, what should they do beyond come to your lab and talk to you? What are the way that they can get started on thinking about this?
Yeah. I think it's important to do more smaller user studies or studies to see how people respond to AI, how they really work with AI, because this whole vision that AI, if you give it to people, they'll just be super performing, whatever. It's not true. It's not necessarily the case. People also respond very differently from person to person to AI. Some people are afraid, other people afraid that the AI will take their jobs. Other people fall in love with AI, almost literally, and think it's sentient and so on. It's just a big mess out there.
Right.
And I would say that companies especially should be careful and should do smaller scale experiments to integrate AI into work processes to see what really happens, how the employees really use these systems and engage with them.
Right, because other issue like hallucination or when it make up things, still gonna continue to exist, and we human, I think, is the one that gonna be to be able to navigate them. So I think there are a lot of ideas that can be deployed in that. So the last question for you is then, what are you most excited about, or what are you most concerned about this day?
Well, one thing I'm actually very concerned about with respect to the state of AI, and you already heard it, is that all the money is being spent, or most of the money, in industry right now. This goal of AGI is sucking up all the funding out there for a goal that I would argue is not at all a good goal to strive for. AI research used to happen primarily in a university context until recently, where we have standards of discussing problems, being open about approaches, trying to get a lot of feedback, peer review, etc. And unfortunately, AI development right now is mostly happening in industry and is driven purely by money interests. not at all by humanity's interests, I would argue. So that is a big concern that I have about what is happening today. At the same time, though, I am still an AI researcher, and I am excited about the potential for AI, not AGI, but other forms of AI to really benefit education and learning, benefit health, and so on. But that goal of AGI is not necessarily what is going to bring us there.
That's really important. So I think that's the conversation today. If you're excited about augmenting human intelligence or augmenting human capability with AI, you can talk to Patty, or I guess come visit our group on the 5th floor at the Media Lab.
There.
We're upstairs. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.